for them or be mad at them because of them I broke today.
How many divorces have you went through?
Three. I got 3 divorces, three gassers. The joke is I've had my car as long as I've had any wives. Our last and final speaker is Mr. Rob Stuart, otherwise known as Mr. Austin. Rob here, unfortunately, on his way to Bonneville many years ago, had an unfortunate incident in his life. But anyway, he's here today, and he would like to share some of his experiences with us. Rob?
There's a mic there, Rob.
Okay. You want me to hold it? Yeah. Okay.
You hold.
Well, listening to Ed talking
Closer to
about...
your mouth.
Pardon me?
There you go.
That's good. That's my wife, Kathleen Shaw, coached me up there. If anybody doesn't know, I am blind, so if you raise your hand and ask me a question, just shout it out. I'll see I can handle it. But listening to Ed talk about the cam wars back in the 60s, that's where I was at Lions as a fan. And I guess I'd say I've been a fan ever since of the Gassers. I can still remember how many Anglias and, well, before that the Willies, and then the Anglias and Austins running. So I came across, I was building flatheads and Model A roadsters and going out to, as everybody said, learning from the older guys. I was going out to John Kretschmeyer's out in Gardena and seeing what he was doing, and then I'd sneak back to Manhattan Beach. All my surf buddies would go, "Where you been?" I couldn't tell them I'd been out doing car stuff, you know, they thought I was crazy. Until they needed some work on their cars. So I was buying cars for 50 bucks, going to Pep Boys, getting a $3 spark plug kit and some points, and selling the car for 75. Somebody claims I sold over 500 cars going to junior college, but then I saw an Austin at Lions, and it was probably Junior Thompson, and I said, "Man, that is one good-looking car." So I came across a two-door Austin, and I decided I'd start building it to go drag racing. By the time I got started, the funny cars had taken over, and the Gassers had gone away. So that was the beginning of me collecting Austins. And now I have a pretty large collection, including a pretty good Gasser gallery of my own. I have one of the best known Austins, the Herrera & Son chip-top, chop-top fiberglass car. Last run is Troken O'Neill and driven by Tommy Thompson, who's here. I also have the McCulloch pickup truck that ran up in Fremont that's a Seagasser. It's back at my buddy's shop in Ohio waiting to get painted. I have a very unusual A70, A90 Atlantic, which they only sold 350 of in America. And it ran a Hemi in it. Unfortunately, it's just a roller now. And then I have a couple miscellaneous two-door C or D gassers. Now, nobody asks me, but they say, "Have you ever raced?" Well, I actually did race at Lions one time. And probably out of anybody you'd meet, you never met anybody that ran a slower ET or a slower top speed. It was for the Ford Obsolete 999 Club back in the mid-60s. In the qualifier, you had to have a 34 and earlier car with 34 and earlier running gear. So I had a 29 Model A Roadster pickup. So they're just making a pass to see who you'd run against. And I was running Lions and I saw a sign that said "in." I thought it was the end of the drag strip, so I slowed down. Turned out it was marking the end of the quarter mile. So my first pass, I think I ran 35 seconds. But I demanded a rerun. They said, "Okay, Rob, go ahead and go for it." And I still don't remember, we didn't have time slips or anything, but I was probably running 25 seconds, pretty steady. And that was it. Now, working backwards, I'm very involved in nostalgia drag racing. I helped put on one of the first big Gasser events in Denver in '94, put on by Rob Frazier, and I was rallying up all the Austin guys to go. Then in '99, I helped get all the Austin people together for the Gateway Gasser Gathering in St. Louis. And then after that, everything has just really taken off with the nostalgia Gasser movement. In the meantime, along with collecting all my Austins, I've been helping people with parts. I've traveled the world going to England and Australia. This is all before the internet. We could find a lot of the hard to find stuff now. So I do have a home business called the Austin Works. I have a lot of 60s gasser nostalgia coverage, the history of the cars on my website. The website is austinworks.com. And if anybody's looking for an Austin or wants to know the history, I do write a regular feature page in the Gas and Wars magazine under the header Austin Advocator. And I generally have an old gasser photo. I was thinking the other day, I've been doing this they have 6 issues a year. I've been doing it for 15, 20 years. That's a lot of gassers. But I still find them, and I still like to track them down, hunt them down, and see what's out there and help guys get them back on the road. So I guess that's it. My most memorable moment, other than me racing in Lions, was probably seeing Gary Raniero run the world's fastest Austin at Bakersfield the first time he went over 200 miles an hour. Yep. How am I doing time-wise?
Good.
Doing good.
You're doing good. More advice?
Any advice?
Advice.
Advice.
Comment?
Comments. Well, I did go to college. I did work professionally as a computer expert for years and years and years. But I did manage to pursue my hobby, which later became a little bit more of a hobby, but a little bit less of a business. I've never had a great business sense. Kathleen will tell you, are you selling those great brand new parts for less than you paid for them and not charging the shipping? I said, well, that's what I've always done. But I used to get the calls, guys say, wow, this part's brand new. I said, well, isn't that what you wanted? So I'm still pretty happy to keep the Austins on the road. I've got customers, I don't call them customers, I call them friends that I've been helping with for 20, 30, 40 years maybe. And I'm happy to report just last year I finally got a logo for my business. So it may be time to go out of business here pretty soon. My advice, as everybody here knows, it's the love of the hobby and just stay with it.
Thank you, Rob. Does anyone have any comments, questions?
Yeah, I got one. My name is Tony Wright, and I've known Rob for about 31 years. And his love of Austins, I brought one in from England, and I got a call from the guy. I didn't know how he got a hold of me, but he did. Anyway, and we got to telling stories, and Rob's one of these guys that he likes kind of droll humor as well as slapstick stuff. And he told me about the Austin he was driving it around the El Segundo area, right by the airport, I think it was something like that, on a Saturday, I guess it was, and it had no brakes, no nothing. It was a 4-door Devon, I think it was a Devon. And so he was stopped by the El Segundo Police Department, and the guy decided to take it from the top and just write up everything he possibly could. You know, no windshield wipers, no headlights, no brakes, and he stuck his foot out to make it stop, or he pulled on the emergency brake real hard. And so he had wound up with a fix-it ticket. So he came back, I think they give you 10 days or something. Nobody would know that he would have 2 of them, or maybe 4 of them. So he showed up at the El Segundo Police Department. He took a few parts off the one that got written up just to make it look genuine. And he put everything on it, the wipers, the headlights, made the brakes work, did everything to it. He said, there it is. And he said, this is absolutely remarkable. I don't know how you did it. And they signed him off. So he told me about it, and I've always tried to get him to tell the story, and he's told it to me back a couple of times. It's like one of them golf jokes, you know. That's my memory of Rob, one of my favorite stories about Rob. Good guy, heck of a good guy. Thanks.
Last words on the fix-it ticket, the police officer said to me, son, by the time you get all the parts on this car to pass the ticket, he says, it'll be worth junking.
Anyone else?
Hey Rob, this is Brad representing the Dapper Downs, and just wondered if you could tell a little story about the Miracle Pie Wagon.
I'll give you the money.
You want to tell a story about Miracle Pie Wagon?
Sure, I can tell you that one. Like I say earlier, I did a lot of Model 8 Fords growing up, and one of the best ones I had, and the most famous one in the South Bay, was a '29 Ford sedan delivery. lettered in perfect gold leaf on the side panel. It said "Miracle Pies," and in cursive underneath it said, "If it's a good pie, it's a miracle." Now it had beautiful Buick spoke wire wheels on it and fat Michelin blue streaks and everything else, and I opened the hood and it had a stock engine in it. I said, this isn't going to work. So if anybody here remembers way back, Louis Shells in Santa Monica. Let's hear it for Louis Shells. Yay. It's probably the only legitimate midnight auto store you'd ever want to see. Louis had the guarantee all the parts are there. So we go over there all the time and see what had come in, and I went by one time and here was this Model B racing engine with all the speed equipment on it. And Louis' guarantee was, take it, all the parts are there. I think I paid $100 for it. I put it in the sedan delivery and we couldn't get it running. So I'm sitting in there turning it over, and my buddy that's helping me had a shop down in El Porto. He had to be careful working on it because it was a dirt floor underneath, sand dunes actually, with wood floor, and there's about an inch crack between the floors, so if you dropped any parts, you usually hit the hobo living underneath the thing. So, sorry buddy, would you mind bringing me back that spring? Anyway, it's a quick car story, maybe. I thought the guy said hit it. He was holding the hot lead to the coil about 3 feet away, and it fired up. We had the headers open, and it sounded perfect. And I looked at him, he looked at me, and he goes, hold on a minute. He went over to the bench, picked up a wire die clip, chopped off the end of the rotor, stuck it back in. He says, fire it up, Rob. It turned out it was a dual point Mallory setup, and they put the wrong rotor in it. So I drag race that, and I can't remember now. I have pictures. It was either Irwindale or might have been Fontana. So that was the same year I was racing the stock. So I did a little faster in that one than the Model A. But one more quick one, the slowest race I've ever seen. A guy had a Model A AA milk truck that ran at Lions, and we said, we never seen anything slower than that. Next time we're at Fontana, here comes another one. And nobody talked match racing then. These two milk trucks took off. I went over, got a hot dog and a Coke. They were still running. I think the ET was 1.5 minutes, and it was a damn close race.
Anyone else? Ed's got another story.
We had an expert building engine builder in, say, 1935 or 6. His name was Blind Slim, and I wish I could remember his real name. And my friend John, I didn't get to meet him, but my friend John went over there one day and to his garage, and then it was dark in there, and he was in there working, grinding valves. He says, hey, and he was surprised, and he says, well, you don't need to see to grind valves. And later on we'll try and find his real name again.
All right.
So he was one of the experts in the four-cylinder days before World War II. By the way, have you ever found that you can feel with your hands and detect flaws that people that can't see can't find?
Let me answer that.
Oh, where's the mic?
Where's the mic?
Well, I have developed my tacturnal skills. I'm more raccoon-like than any raccoon you'll ever want to meet. I still go through my parts inventory, and I can tell whether it's NOS, out of the box, slightly pitted. I'm not going to send this guy this thing. And by the way, as far as I do have another handle, I'm working on jazz flugelhorn. I played a lot of trumpet when I was a kid. Sold my trumpet to get a surfboard, so years later. But my jazz blues name is Blind Roland's Snickers. If you ever hear me over in Santa Monica Promenade, you know it's me.
Anyone else? Okay, before we wrap this up, we had each of the speakers today sign a poster, and they're going to go out and find the car that their favorite car, They're going to present the owner a signed poster. Unfortunately, they're all gases, but I think most of them are Willys, but there are other cars too. And also Gary, Gary, keep calling him Gary, because his brother lives not too far from me in Prescott. Jerry here has a couple of albums he'd like to share with you folks. If anyone would like to see them, you're welcome to come up and look at them. We have to be out of here at 1:30, and it's, what is it, 1:20? 10 after 1. Oh, I'm sorry. 2 o'clock. Okay, 2 o'clock. And so we've got a few minutes, so you're welcome to come up and look at these albums. We're going to do a presentation?
Yeah, you want to do awards?
Yeah, you want to do the awards now?
Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we have ours ready.
Yeah, why don't you guys go first? You want to go first?
No, you guys go first. It's your show.
But now, are the owners of the cars here? So they may not be here.
We hope so.
We'll yell at them. They're outside. Yell.
Yeah, we're hoping everybody's inside.
Can we get the owners of the, say everybody's leaving here.
Yeah, no, no.